All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for attending the Stormwater Board meeting for the Town of Cedar Lake on February 8th, 2022. I'd like to call to order today. Please join me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we can start off by conducting a roll call, please.
Ryan Leastick.
Here.
Patrick Conlon.
Here.
Don Allison.
Here.
Eric Bosma.
Here.
Robert Carnahan.
Here.
And Wendy Schmidt.
All right. All right. In review of the Stormwater Board minutes from January 11th, if we had a chance for everyone to look over them, I would like to move a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the January 11th meeting.
I'll second.
Hi, gentlemen.
Good evening. Hey, Chris.
How's it going?
You gotta do a roll call.
Patrick Conlon.
Yes.
Ryan Leastick.
Here. Anything else, Bob? Do we need a...
It's a vote.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
All right, sir. All right, moving on to old business, drainage issues at 9080 West 129th Avenue. This is in the Havenwood neighborhood. Wendy, do you want to give a brief summarization?
We don't have an update on the status of the easement right now.
And I think it's more administrative. I think we can get those in a timely fashion before the next meeting. So we'll keep that on old business, and we'll move forward on that. Moving on to Sherman Street.
No updates. It's either a singular project or part of a larger neighborhood project. As far as I know, there's no funding mechanisms for it now, either way.
Right. So I know that was going to be part of a master plan sometime down the road.
Yep. That'd be a bonding
Do we keep
situation.
keep it on old business? Do we keep it on update items?
Probably could remove it.
Okay. Would we be able to follow up with Gene Oldenkamp on that?
Oh, you mean Olive?
Okay. Sounds wrong.
It is, hold on a second.
One.
All tops?
Yeah. 14241 Sherman Street. Yeah, that's different.
Yeah, it was the all tops, 14022 Sherman Street, that were the initial couple that came here. They haven't been here in well over a year.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to take it off because it's not going to be able to be incorporated as a singular project unless for some unforeseen opportunity comes available.
I'm pretty confident there's not storm water for it.
Now moving on to Mr. Becker at 7513 West 136th Avenue.
So Mr. Becker came to the, I think, 2 council meetings ago and kind of stated his case there after what he heard at the last meeting here. Essentially the 2 options are to reconstruct that entire system or demo his house and create some storage and see how that does. We were instructed by a town council president today to try to find something in between that. So we're going to go back to the drawing board and see if there's something we can do on his property alone without demoing it. So we're going to look in it and see if we can get something that may not be the best option, but something that we can do now and isn't nearly as expensive as the other option. I think council does not want to demo the parcel and set that precedent for other properties in town. So we need to find some middle ground that still provides some relief to Chuck in his parcel, but also not costing a whole bunch of money for one parcel. So we're going to try to go back to the drawing board with the existing system we have and see if we can improve it cost effectively, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, I mean, you're the expert when it comes to this, but, you know, kind of looking at it holistically like we have for the last year, it's been an ongoing issue. I hope that we can find something. I just don't want to put a Band-Aid on a bullet hole or just do something to shut them up. I want to make sure it's fixed overall.
I agree.
You know?
I mean, we're trying to shove a whole bunch of water through a very small pipe.
Right.
And without upsizing a significant portion of that line, you're only going to get so much relief if you say, you know, redo the pipe on his property only. So, but we'll look at it again.
Okay.
Was did I hear in the last meeting that there was some 90-degree elbows in there?
There's several, actually.
Well, I guess the only reason I bring it up is that could be part of the solution, could it not? I mean, it certainly would help flow a little bit, right?
Yeah, the problem is I don't know if we can get rid of them based on the easements we have out there currently. I can give you an idea where it's at. So we kind of did some more research at the behest of council, and we figured out exactly why there is a pipe underneath his house. This little resub right here kind of caused the issue. So the original subdivision platted this entire block, and they platted them pretty tiny lots. They were 20 or 50-foot wide lots, which is what this one is. But this one re-subdivided in 1973 and turned 4 lots into 3. Shifted the shared common lot lines over by about 20 feet or so to make them larger lots. Well, we also have the original drainage step, like basically one plan sheet from 1958, and the 8-inch drain tile was actually shown on that. But it was on a common lot line then. When it was re-subdivided, I don't think anybody knew that age was still there, and he built his house right on top of it. So that's why it's there. But it essentially comes down to the southern boundary, does a 90, and does another 90, and then it does another 90 to come back west. So there's 3 90s in that system within the span of parcel and a half. And it's an 8-inch to 12-inch pipe. So, not the best system thought, but so yeah, it has a whole lot of issues. And then it gets into actually the larger part of the system, which is flat and back pitched in some areas. So you're limited to pretty much head pressure at that point. So it's a bit of a wreck.
Okay, so,
We'll take another look at it, see if we can at least come up. I mean, you can put bigger pipes in which will serve some type of storage to it, but there's a finite level of, you know, storage in a pipe that you're only going to get a whole lot of bang through, but you're pretty much spinning your wheels if you don't have an outlet. So, we'll see. I mean, if we can capture it better so it's not, you know, totally reliant on the pipe under his house, it may help, but couldn't guarantee it. I don't know if it's worth the money. So, but we'll try to break it down a little bit better and see what we can do.
okay.
That's all I can say right now.
So you have to report to the town council.
I'll keep everybody involved. We'll have something for next meeting now.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Lynn's Way on Cary Street, and that was a big project that was undertaken.
Nothing's really changed on that one. The corridor is going to be restored once spring hits, just to let the pipe trend settle a little bit. So that'll be done, I think, by Public Works, or they might hire ground like PTX or something like that to do it. As far as I know,
I know Tim was saying we're probably gonna end up doing it, but,
okay.
so, for time.
I think all the fences are still down, so we'll be allowed to put them back up when we're done.
Yeah.
And everything will be reseated and looking pretty.
That's the plan.
All right, moving on to Dodge Street.
This was a new item last meeting. Eric brought it to my attention. We've done a little research on it, but we really need to see it out in the field, and the snow, it's not really cooperating. We know the problem's pretty much at Dodge and Schubert, right?
Yeah, around the corner.
So that's kind of the, call it the upstream end of a system that heads down Dodge, I think jogs northeast on Lake Shore, and then jogs south and ties into the Marquette system in Meyer Manor. It's an old system. I think you guys said you guys tried to televise it,
Oh, yeah,
and it didn't get too far?
no.
Wow.
We tried going the opposite way too, and the cameras, the pipe is too small for a camera to even go through, so.
Yeah, this is an old system, and we have debris issues at Dodge and Lake Shore, because both inlets that are on those corners, they're either too low or one's too high, doesn't really take any drainage. So if you drive by there a lot, you always see a lot of gravel there. Supposedly from our storm atlas, there are inlets up in this corridor, but I have no idea what condition they're in. I mean, this is probably gonna have to wait till spring so we can actually get our boots on the ground and actually see stuff. Because I think this system actually, ironically, goes under another building and ties into the Marquette system somewhere in kind of this vicinity. So just south, on Marquette, south of Lakeshore Drive. It was picked up as part of our 08 Meyer Manor project, but it doesn't show up on our project plans, but it shows up on as-built, which pretty much means we found it in the field and tied it in. So, yeah, and the Meyer Manor system's small, we all know, because it's super flat out there, there's barely any cover, and it's pretty much has to fight the tailwater of Cedar Lake. So that system as a whole is pretty, restricted. So we'll see what we can see. I mean, it may just be something where we need to clear that line out. But if it's in that bad shape, I mean, it's on the north side of Lakeshore, I think, right?
Yeah. I mean, we were over there behind, that house behind the dentist's office, and this was probably 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And she had some type of French drain that we were gonna fix it, but then it got to the point where it went to nowhere. So then Rich was just built back in or something to do.
Okay.
And that's when we were gonna get you involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, I hope we can figure out, I don't know, is it CMP?
I think so, yeah.
Awesome. The jetting it could be dicey.
I did find out the homeowner lives on the corner, that's actually Dale Gargoli, works through the town.
Yeah. You said you had problems north of him, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of water coming from, he actually spoke to the owner of that house, and they moved his well, I believe, from the one side to the other side of the house. And he's getting water, the guy is getting water in his basement now.
Is he?
Yeah.
He's at High Point, which is weird.
Yeah. It's like they moved it from like the north, and then they brought it around to like more closer to Dale's house.
Huh.
What's their address?
Dale's, 13138 Schubert. That's strange. I mean, we're supposed to have two inlets at the northwest and northeast corners. of
Yeah, he's
Schubert
got
and
one
Dodge.
that actually has pipe in it. The
Okay.
other one on the other side don't have nothing, it's just a basin they threw there.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we can keep this as an update item, but we'll need to get eyes on it when the weather improves.
Yeah, well, I think we'll have to go out there and look at it.
Okay. Yeah, I hate jetting CMPs that are old.
But yeah,
You
I
can
know,
really-
like I said, it's not really a good idea to do that, because
No.
it may make it worse.
Can blow something out. Yeah, I mean, maybe we can find the other end and go up, I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean,
we'll take it from there.
I
Maybe
mean, we
take it from
assumed that
Meyer.
it went all the way down on the north side and then came across and attached to Tyler Street, and then went,
I don't even think it goes that far.
no, it don't, we thought it did, and then it went behind those two houses that into Potawatomi and out to the lake, but it don't even go that.
No, it's not that system. I think it gets in the Meyer Manor, not like 131st, but how could the suitable. So, yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Moving on to Public Works Projects, 137th and Lowerman.
I think that one's done for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you want Tyler and I to kinda clean that ditch out?
On 137th?
Yeah.
You can.
I mean, we already jetted the pipe.
Do you jet that little 4-inch
Yeah.
tiny guy?
Yeah.
I think it's gonna keep clogging it, I think, but.
I mean, it was working, cause we did it when it was raining out, so it was slowing into what we did, but I don't know if you wanted us to kinda clean the ditch out.
If you want.
Okay.
I don't know if, who's that guy's name now? Stroman? No. I don't know if they're gonna maintain it a little bit more now that hopefully it drains down.
Probably, I mean, he never complained about it, so, yeah.
No, he waited a long time for that too.
And they're rebuilding that house behind him too, so
Are they?
I'm assuming
Strominski.
somebody's gonna be moving into that.
Okay. The one immediately to the west?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, Tyler and I'll clean out in the spring, we'll just kinda
Yeah.
raise it enough where the water flows.
I think Mr. Strominski, I think he would maintain it, but it just never drained down.
Yeah, it
He
was
just
always
couldn't.
full of water,
Yeah.
constantly.
So hopefully this helps. It's still not the ultimate fix. Once we put in the Birch Street system, that'll be the end all be all. But again, that's part of a larger neighborhood project. I don't think that's on anybody's funding radar right now, so. But for now, it should be a whole hell of a lot better than it has been for the last several years.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to Jeff Bungie, 14619 Bell Place. And I know there's been a lot of work that has been done from Wendy's standpoint. She's been called NIPSCO locate to go out there. She's called three times now to locate the gas lines that are on site. And Eric, did you want to jump in and just kind of explain more?
Well, what is it? Is it,
There's an
A
end of
main?
main on
There's-
on the end of his driveway, it's end of
Yeah.
main. And Tim said at this point, he talked to Mr. Bungie and told him that at this point, he needs to contact NIPSCO and get this taken care of so that we can proceed.
yeah.
So he kind of put it in his hands and said, we'll go through with it, just get this NIPSCO thing cleared up.
Which it was originally at the beginning of summer, it was located. And then we held off for some reason. Then we had it relocated. Right after we had it relocated, that's when they told us not to dig. So, I don't know.
And then it just kind of stopped.
Yeah, they had, you can put that little sign out there, do not dig, so.
Do they not know where their main is?
He just kind of said end of main and left it at that.
Yeah,
I said,
that's
"Well,
basically what they told us, they just.
So the third locate, I said, what are we supposed to do with this end of main?
Yeah.
And I didn't get a response.
I mean, and then right after that last meeting that we talked about, we went out there that day, and we were getting, the next day, we were gonna do it, but they said no, so.
We can try some other contacts if you wanted to.
uh,
See what they got going on. It might be difficult now, but when the snow clears.
Cause we had it all ready to go, I mean, we trimmed his trees back in that little easement way, I mean, we marked out exactly where we wanted everything to be, and then NIPSCO said no.
Call it NIPSCO.
Yeah.
Okay, so just wait for Mr. Bungie to figure out and get some locating infrastructure out there to figure out where the gas lines are.
And we'll throw some emails into some of our contacts, some of our project contacts, and see if we can move it up the ladder.
I mean, if we had to, we probably could run that pipe through the street, I would imagine, right? Like bring it like diagonally from his driveway, like into that little easement way that's there.
Yeah, because it pretty much is in the street towards the end there, right? Pretty much
Yeah,
right past
that's-
his driveway.
yeah.
Still public right away though.
Yeah,
Yeah, it depends on where that gas main is.
yeah, I know, that's.
I mean, it should be deeper than you guys, but,
I would.
because you're gonna be pretty shallow, I imagine, so.
Yeah.
You should be above it, but,
Over there, I have no idea.
no. If they're this worried about it, I don't want you to dig
Right.
it. So we'll try to have Bungie contact him on us and see if one of us can get to it first.
Okay, keep that on. Any new business? All right, go ahead and please approach the podium and state your name and your address.
Yeah, my name is Glenn Lapham. I'm a resident of Woods Cedar Creek subdivision. From what I understand, the last meeting I was not able to make it to, that the construction or sewer line not a sewer line, a storm line is supposed to go in behind the homes on the east side of Rutland. There's the continuation of that line.
Mhm.
That process was dropped for some reason at the last meeting.
It wasn't dropped at the last meeting. It was dropped previously,
Over a year ago.
yeah. And the issue was we didn't have all the easements needed from all the other property owners, allowing the project to take place on their land.
I kind of spearheaded that, and I made sure that everyone had signed things that turned into Jill Murr,
Mm-hmm.
and she was kind of keeping them together in one file, I guess. I know you've been out there and seen the problem,
Right.
and we were under the understanding that all the easement releases were done, and we were just waiting all summer long for the diggers to show up. And I had even talked to an engineer that came out, that was a new engineer, I don't know the gentleman's name, but he had replaced, Tim Kubiak. He replaced him as manager, I guess. Anyways, he came out there in official capacity, and I showed him exactly what needed to be done, what we thought needed to be done, I showed him the prints of it, the drawings and everything. And he agreed that it needed to be done, and I'll walk it through, and now this was early summer, it's not a year ago. And we were just waiting for the project to get started. And here, I found out by the last meeting that project had been dropped because of lack of participation. By whom? I don't know, everybody signed it from what I knew.
So the issue between the last meeting and this meeting was we were waiting for updates to see what easements have been signed off on at which property owners to discuss at this meeting. However, there was administrators that are out of office that we were unable to get that information from. So that is forthcoming to be updated. But we had everything in place to go forward as far as working with the contractors and working with Tim Kubiak and Eric and his team to make sure that the project was going through. And say in the last 2 minutes of the game, some red flags came up.
Yeah, that's what I mean, I don't understand what the red flags were, and how do we fix them?
It could be, and I'm just speculating, so correct me if I'm wrong, but if the limits of construction expanded, like if there was a reason they maybe had to go into another property owner's yard, then maybe that was one of the easements that they had to get caught up on, and maybe that, I'm just speculating.
Not according to the drawings that I'd seen.
Understood.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get out there and you
I
look at stuff,
understand
things change, right, or maybe.
And I had even talked to the engineer about exactly the easement to get into the property to do the job. I own a section of property that's 30 foot wide,
Right.
that it's very easy to get equipment in. I used to do that kind of stuff, so I know
Yeah.
what's involved in getting equipment in
And
the
again, I'm
job.
just speculating, I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, we have to wait for.
Because when they did the north side of that particular project, they came in between two homes,
Right.
and it was very critical to get really close getting
Yeah.
in through there.
So Glenn, what happened is, I think when everybody was here, this was probably 2 years ago now, was when we were kind of going through the engineering.
Yeah.
The project was designed to go up towards your property and then head northeast to, Mr. Teeman's parcel, and that's where it terminated. So my understanding is that some 1 or 2 parcels in between there said no, and didn't sign, and we cut it off. And we initially took pipe off entirely, and the day that we started it, we were told that people showed up at town hall and said there's new owners in those and they would be willing to sign it. We actually changed the project in the field to go back to a pipe to be able to extend if we ever had to. So that's there was a clear, we were told clearly that there was residents in the middle that stopped anything going south. So the project had changed actually by the time we even
Because
got out,
I
and
had
then
talked
changed
to
back.
every one of the individual owners in that whole process.
Well,
Every one of them said that they had come down and signed releases.
to what Ryan said though, this is what we were told, and really Jill's the only one that knows, and she's not in the office right now, so.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so we're kind of waiting right now to see where everything is. We haven't been told, so we unfortunately don't have anything to tell you right now.
So the project is still potentially available to be done, if all the work is done as far as paperwork done,
Maybe.
maybe.
It
Okay.
still has to find money again. That money was allocated to other stuff at that time, so everything's always dependent on funding.
Because there are a couple homeowners in there that they cannot even walk in their backyards.
No, yeah, we talked about this
Yeah, I
for a
know.
long time.
We went out there and
Yeah,
the town and admin people, they spent a lot of time, workers spent a lot of time on it.
Oh, I realize that.
And it's one of those things, I think what it came down to was some personal issues between different neighbors. And they saw an opportunity to cancel the project, to piss off some of their neighbors.
Because I had talked to every one of them, even a couple that were borderline on whether they wanted it done or not. I explained to them what the consequences of further down the road from them. You know, you gotta be neighborly also.
Of course.
And they agreed, oh yeah, one guy said that he came down, he was the last one, came down and actually signed, he said he signed paper and gave it to Jill, so that was the last one out of the bunch. And now we're in a process where we've got two different homes that have changed names
yeah,
now.
that's the other thing too, is that
Yeah, they've changed names
if the
now,
initial
so-
one had signed, we now need to update it and have the new one signed. So there's that caveat that we need to look at as well.
But now we've got two more that are different. than the
Exactly.
people- than the
So
people that
even
signed.
if the prior owner signed it, we need to get the new owner to sign it.
Now, is
So,
there anything that we can do to help the
Mr.
process?
Chairman, can I address the gentleman at the speaker?
Absolutely.
So, sir, I think Plan A is, yes, if there's a couple of people that the property's changed hands, and we need them to now sign and/or update everyone else's, and you could assist with us if we need, if you know these other two new people, and we don't have the luck that we think as a town, I think that would be super. But also, I want you to know that because of your subdivision and some subdivisions right before yours, we now require backyard drains for every developer building a subdivision. Because imagine a new subdivision where two people's backyards meet and you don't have a drain, and you put a shed and some flowers and some berms, and now you flood out your neighbor and vice versa. So we've grown as a town in the last decade to not allow developers to not put drains in the backyard to keep this from happening. But we will be committed, I'm just a councilman,
Oh, okay.
sitting in on the meeting,
Okay.
but we will track that list down from Jill. Wendy will be sure when she's back from vacation. And we will be committed to figuring out how to come up with funds if they have been used elsewhere. Because nobody should live in such a nice neighborhood with a constantly wet backyard when it's a 15-year-old neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm retired and I can come in to City Hall almost every day, you know, at any time, so.
So, squeaky wheel does get the grease, but at the end of the day, this is an all-inclusive, or it's not gonna happen project as far as with the different owners.
Well, I understand, we understood that years ago.
Right.
A couple of years ago, we understood that.
Right, and so moving forward, making sure that we have all those easements signed on, and that's what I told Mr. Tiemans, the other meeting, and I talked to him over the phone. That's the most important thing to take place now, because obviously no work is gonna get done in the next month with the weather and everything.
Oh, I understand that.
But we just need to get that on the docket, get our ducks in a row before going forward there.
Okay.
If you have a question, please come forward to the podium and,
No, I just want to add to that. I'm on the.
wait.
Name and
You gotta come to the podium, state your name
Okay.
and your address, please.
Thank you.
Glenn, what was your last name? How do I spell it?
Lapham, Lapham.
Thank you.
I was gonna say TH. My name is Alicia Sutton. I live in the woods of Cedar Creek. I'll give you my address, but I'm not part of this, but I'm on the board, the HOA board.
Okay.
And we have a house that is in this area that's going up for sale. So just to add to it, as you guys get the all-inclusive, you have a home that is gonna go up for sale any day. So just, you guys getting the ball rolling, and all of a sudden, you guys don't realize another house is going up.
Mhm. So I would say we need that point of contact, that leadership from, the best way to be a good neighbor is to be a good neighbor.
Correct, which is why I'm here, because, you know, and plus too, she was part of it and she needed a ride. So I brought her, so I'm not here really in the capacity of the HOA board,
Mhm.
but when you guys are talking, I did all the meetings prior. You
Yep.
remember me from every meeting. Just so you guys know that, and it's like 14203 or 14205, it's getting ready any day to be listed. And we are turning them pretty quickly, so before this, you guys would even anticipate starting, just so you know ahead of time.
No, that's great. No, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, because it will be, and at this point, it's not listed, so we don't have
Welcome to the
any.
neighborhood. Hey, will you sign this for him?
Exactly.
Can we turn up your backyard?
Oh, exactly, so I'm just adding to it, just for information, you guys say,
Well,
well.
if you happen to run into them as new neighbors, it might, you know.
Well, I do, because they have to pay their HOA dues to me. So I'm like one of the first point, you know, I write.
Yeah, let them know, say FYI, here's, you know, something the town was gonna be
Exactly,
doing.
so, right, and I have been in correspondence with the realtor, and I will bring that to the realtor's attention, that this is an ongoing and it's something, so I will help facilitate getting this done. But just so you guys know that, you know, as an HOA board member, we don't get the communication from you, so I don't want to be like the third wheel out and you guys are like, well, no one told me.
Alicia, can we get your phone number?
Sure, it's 219-677-2262.
Thank you.
Absolutely, and the address is 14110 Rockland.
That's your personal?
Yeah, that's my address. Yeah, so if I can help at all with this, you know, Don knows me from
Years ago.
4 years, you know.
3? We'll go 3.
Okay, we'll compromise. I really think it's been 4, but whatever. I mean, it's been a while, so Don knows me, and you know what I'm saying? If I can help or offer that and relay the information, I definitely will.
All right.
We're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Tyler.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I'm saying?
Give my name.
Yeah, name and address.
Isla Gallagher, 14133 Rockland Street, Cedarwood, 46303,
Your first name again, I'm sorry?
Isla.
ILA.
Thank you.
I've known about this project for a long time. I don't have a water problem, but my neighbor south of me did at that time. Now a different neighbor lives here. I agreed to my yard being dug up. I agreed to having a big tree cut down. And you guys gave me the money to replace it, which I put a smaller pine tree in. So I agreed on everything. I just wondered, I know this is a big project because it goes all the way down to Lowell and keeps going down, and I think it ends up in the Tiny Key River or something. This goes way down, but anyway. So I just wondered when, I don't care when the digging happens, because they told me whatever you did to my backyard, you're gonna fix. And I agreed to all of that.
And just kind of building up with Alicia and the land bands, it's a matter of timing, because the easements were quote-unquote revoked. They don't want to move forward with the project. It's going to take time. We have to have all the easements in place in order to move forward on the project.
Doesn't make sense. It's like it's easy, it's like, what the heck?
So at first, we had all the easements
Right,
for the property owners, where the project, and where, just like you signed off on, if there was going to be entrance onto the property or digging on the property, we have to have easements in order to do so. But between the start of it and over the time of the last year, some other property owners took their name off the list, revoked their easements.
because like I said, I do a lot of gardening, and that's the only reason what I wanted to know, what I'm gonna do in my backyard, and then I know it's supposed to be tore up, but doesn't matter to me when, just so I know what's going on for the summer.
And so we would have a plan in place once we have all the easements together. We're gonna have to do a audit of the easements that we currently have and see what is available. But thank you very much for coming to the meeting. And then we'll have a plan in place moving forward and a timeline associated with that. But until we have every easement that we know that we have signed off on, we're not gonna be able to move forward until we have all the easements on all the properties affected.
I'm lot 4, so,
Oh, yeah.
and I've talked to you many times.
Yep. You got my number, Iowa.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any comments or questions from the Zoom?
Excellent.
Really?
Dusty? You can unmute yourself.
Tell him to hit star 6 in case he's muted.
Hit star 6 if you're on. There you go.
Can you hear me? Are you talking to me?
No. Dusty?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I live at 14203, and I was one that came down with Glenn and talked to an engineer, and we got all the signatures and whatnot. And the only one that I knew that at that time was the holdup was my neighbor Bob, because during part of the first project, his sprinkling system was damaged and wasn't replaced right, and since then, he was paid for the money by the town and made the repairs, and so he signed off for it to continue. But no one, to my knowledge, other than him, had a holdup on this project. I mean, my backyard is so bad, I've only been here every 2 years in June. Every bit of my landscaping that I've planted so far has rotted from the water, hundreds of dollars, 2 summers now. The neighbor south of me, there's times where he has 3 feet of standing water in his backyard where he's contemplating buying sandbags to keep it from coming in the sunroom. So that's how bad it has gotten, since I've lived here. The lady that's lives adjoining, that's attached to my residence, I understand her house is going up for sale, so we'll have to deal with those new people whenever it gets sold. But when you said there was multiple people that signed off, the only one that signed off, to my knowledge, was Bob. And once he got paid, he released for the go-ahead for the project. So, you know, I've got trees I want to plant. I have no idea where the pipe's going to go, so it's kind of frustrating that I can't even use my backyard without water going over the top of my shoes. Between my house, the water literally goes up underneath my siding, which I'm sure is not good for my insulation. I don't know if doing this project's going to lower the water table to prevent that, if that's the whole purpose of this, but when I moved here, I didn't know there was such a high water table in Cedar Lake. Probably stupid on my part with the lake being right there, but...
Ma'am, what's your name and your address again?
It's Dusty. My last name is Blood, B as in boy, L-O-O-D as in David. And my address is 14203 Rockland.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
To just reiterate kind of what we talked about here, 100%, we don't know which property owners didn't sign on as far as part of the easements, but that is something that we're going to be figuring out internally by our next meeting to discuss.
Okay.
And reviewing what needs to happen next in order to move forward on the project. But from this call and from Mr. Tiemann's coming to the last meeting, I appreciate everyone coming out and showing their support for this process moving forward, because that's the most important thing, is that we have everyone buy-in, and I think that we'll be able to move forward on signing off on the other property easements that we don't have, because there's a lot of community or neighborhood support here for the Woods of Cedar Creek.
Well, I would have loved to come down in person, but I just had a chemo treatment yesterday and not feeling the best, so I thought, let me see what I can find out from the Zoom. I've yet to meet the neighbor on the other side of me that bought the house in November, but I'll be glad to talk to her because the previous neighbor, he was in agreement of it, so she's not been here long enough to even know, you know, what to expect come spring with the water, but I wouldn't imagine as nice of a backyard she has, and she has a big dog that she would want the dog out there in water puddles, but I will do my part on that side of me to try to explain to her, and Glenn will help me get, her signature, and then whoever these new people are. So we'll all come together and get whatever we can to turn it in, to get it going for whenever it can be done. I know you're talking about funds, and it's always something that has to be considered, so when it's our time.
Absolutely, and yeah, no use in sense in coming down here, and I hope you feel better, stay inside, and yes, this will, as long as we can get the easements, there's potential for this project to keep moving forward.
Yes, I can't remember the fellow that we talked to, but he had made a phone call, and we knew that they were gonna have to put an extra expense because of some type of tracking that they needed to order more, I guess, for those, excavating things to go over on the grass, and whoever he talked to was agreeing it needed to be done, and then an engineer came out and said, oh, yeah, it needed to be done, but then I guess the signatures somewhere along the line kind of held that all up, so. We'll eventually get it all together, because I sure would like to put some more trees back there and finish my landscaping without everything dying.
Okay, well, it's just gonna take time and effort on part of us, but we'll find out internally what easements we have, and if we can just, what I can tell from this meeting is just talk to your neighbors and making sure, explaining the issues that are at hand. And one thing to take away from this is the town and the contracted engineer and everyone involved in the town on this project, they spent time and effort into it previously. If, in order to move forward, it needs to be an all-inclusive approach. So thank you very much for being on a Zoom call.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you, Dusty. Have a great night.
You too, thank you.
Anyone else? All right. With no other comments from the Zoom meeting, move to adjournment, and thank you all. Do you have anything to say?
No, I was just making a motion for adjournment.
Before your final adjournment, folks, this is Chris Salatas, our new town manager.
Hey, Chris.
This is our CLA Storm Board, Pat of which was just appointed. He's not as good looking as John Capora, so don't get him confused, Chris. And, so yeah, I thought it was important to introduce Chris to all you guys.
Well, welcome.
From the Cedar Lake. Yeah.
Look forward to your leadership.
Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Forward to working with you.
All right.
The second day on the job, right?
Yeah.
All right, we like that.
He's still here, so.
Yeah.
That's it. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good to have you, John Foreman, at the storm board meeting.
Thank you, Bob. I was in town tonight, so I'm here.
Good.
Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Next meeting is March 8th, 6:30 p.m.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Joe will be back.
You hanging in? Hey, Eric, how are you?